lunch. And according to him, for lunch, breakfast and dinner. Now I'll just tell you, if you go deep into it, what is culture? Culture is a very difficult term, but do you know what culture is? Culture is what one does when no one looks at you. Did you get it? Strategy is the same. So it doesn't only eat breakfast, lunch and all. They are together all the time. They are a well-knit family, strategy and culture. So if you are a good cultured man is called Arya. Arya is not a man who has come from the central India. Arya is a cultured man. When Arjuna puts the Gandiva down in the war front and tells Krishna, I can't fight. Whom am I killing? My gurus, my brothers, my cousins. Then Krishna says, Anarya Justa, O Partha. You are not a good man because you promised your brother that you will fight. And because of you has come to the war. And now you say, I am not fighting. Anarya Justa, O Partha. Akirti Param. You won't get Kirti. Asvargiyam. You will never go to Swarga. So remember, you are an Arya. You are a cultured man. Because you do what you say and say what you do. That's called walking your talk. And I have studied Raju and he is Arya. Good boy. I like him because he loves homeopathy. I also love homeopathy. These various caste systems in medicine, allopathy, this pathy, that pathy. I tell my students, whether you practice allopathy, umapathy, Ayurveda, Ayurveda, homeopathy, as long as you practice sympathy and empathy, you don't have to worry about it. Today that's exactly what we don't do. When the hospital started in the 18th century, anybody who went into the hospital went to heaven. It was called hospitalism. All because of the infection in the hospital. And the one who brought down this mortality from 100% to 40% was Florence Nightingale, who called herself, I am the general of buckets, brushes, soap, bread and bandage. All that she did was give them good food, tender loving care and cleanliness. Mortality fell down. Now you talk of homeopathy, we have come back to that principle. In America there is a Chinese doctor called Dr. Chan in the Johns Hopkins Hospital. She was a pediatrician and her children were dying like flies of simple infections by a simple germ which normally should not affect a human being, called Clostridium difficile. Children were just flying, coming to the intensive care unit and dying. One day she read a lot of Indian scriptures, and in the Indian veterinary science, in the 17th century, a cow has a bad infection. The treatment was another cow's shit. Okay? She said, why not I do the same thing? Children are anyway dying. So she took the mother shit of a child who is seriously dying and 250 cc of the shit, emulsified with water and put it through the rice tube into the mouth, through the gut. In 4 hours the child was perfectly normal. Of course they called it fecal transplant and it becomes respectable, but it comes from America. If Murarji Desai drinks his own urine, he will say, hey, fool, doesn't know anything. But if America says, come on now, take shit as the best treatment for infection, you immediately say yes. And in America now you can get poop capsules, no poop capsules. If you want your immune system to be boosted, you buy poop capsules, $5 a capsule. Only thing is it's not yellow. That yellow part of the material they have removed, it's a shit only. So what I am telling you is, this is a big cycle. Goes on and on and on. So nobody should pontificate to the world saying that what I think is the right thing. You know, without cholesterol, you can survive forever. With the cholesterol, you will die very soon. Very interesting thing. When I was a student, we were taught normal cholesterol must be about 250 milligrams. After I passed, 10 years later, it became 200. Another 10 years, it came to 180. Then another 10 years, it came to 160. And then the drugs started coming. From cholesterol in the 50s to statins in the 90s, 2000. And do you know the business? If I were to show you a graph, the death rate due to coronary artery disease was going up. And proportionately, the profit of the drug companies was also going up. You can extrapolate the two graphs, identical, absolutely parallel. Now they say, I have been saying cholesterol is a friend, more the merrier. If you want to live long, you must have good cholesterol. A study done in French nursing home showed ladies above 90 had about 800, 900 cholesterol. Because remember, you kill billions of your cells every day. They have to be replaced. And new cell wall is cholesterol. And if you don't have enough cholesterol in your blood, the cell wall is so weak that it invites necrosis, which invites cancer. And I don't want to tell you more about cholesterol, because if you don't have cholesterol, you die very young. Now America says cholesterol is very good. Have you seen last month's Times magazine? Bullseye, 2 bullseyes on the cover. They eat more eggs, eat beef, eat red meat, fry your things in lard. This is what used to happen when we were students in the West. We used to get onion rings. And those onion rings are so tasty. Huh? Brahmins from here, they'll go and say that I'm a vegetarian, I'm only eating onion rings. One day I told him, do you know what it is fried in? I said, it's lard. And he started vomiting. Then I told him, don't worry, you go back home, have a nice bath in Ganges, change your crossbelt, you are fine. Why I am saying this is, knowledge is not static. Wisdom can be static. What's the difference between the two? Knowledge dwells in heads replete with thoughts of other men. I read this in this book, I heard this, I saw that, my teacher told me. But wisdom is something that is in your own head. So the poet said, knowledge and wisdom, far from being one, have nothing in common. Knowledge is so proud because it knows so much. No, I'm so and so, my CV, blah, blah, blah. And wisdom is so humble because it knows no more. Here was the wisest man in the world, Von Johanna Goethe, who said, I now know medicine, science, philosophy, physiology, jurisprudence, even as theology from end to end with labor skin. But here I stand, O fool, with all my lore, no wiser than before. Did you understand? Yes. Now Rath was telling me that you all want to know how to live happily, healthily, and never die. Nobody wants to die. Right? For a minute you think none of us dies. Just think, hypothetically. Can you sit in the room like this? You have to stand up. Even if you stand up, there is no space. Nobody dies. Then you have to develop some mechanism of sucking food from the feet. Even then they will have no place. Die we must. But our aim should be, till we die, we don't know when and how. We must be independent. We should not be dependent on others. So you don't want to be sick, right? So I'll tell you some secrets of healthy living. Having said that, when you accept all that, I should also give you a rider. That in spite of all that, diseases can still strike you because this is an accident. But accidents are rare if everybody follows the traffic rules. So if everybody follows the healthy rules, accidents are rare. And even if we meet with an accident, the accident is not very severe, you will recover. As Rajiv rightly said, God has made us. You know how long we have been in this planet? 9 billion years. And those 900,000 years, we have had no doctors. We have had no catheters, no angiograms, no pathis, no nothing. There's a beautiful definition of health in Ayurveda, which is a positive definition. What does it say? Samadhatuhu samagnischa samadoshaha malakriya prasannatma indriya manasvasta ityadi. Put it in simple language. You get up in the morning, you want to work. Not that you have to work. There's a very big difference between, you ask yourself in the morning, do I want to go to work or do I have to go to work? If the answer is I have to go to work, you are going there for salary. But if you want to go to work, that's your health. So you work well, eat well, sleep well, shit well, piss well, love everyone, and don't hate nobody, you are absolutely healthy. Atma, Indriya, Manaha. When all these three are absolutely happy, you are healthy. So we have now changed the definition of health from the Alma Ata definition to a new definition which the IOM, the Institute of Medicine in America, has accepted. We now define health as enthusiasm to work and enthusiasm to be compassionate. Mark my words, only 4 words. What is enthusiasm? En in Latin means inside. Theos means God. So God sits inside and provokes you. Prachodayat. That's what you say in the morning. That provocation comes. So I want to work. I want to go to school. How many children today want to go to school? Parents drag them to school. Because every child is a genius to be converted into an idiot in school. So no child wants to go to school. I didn't say that. If I said that, they'll kill me. Alexis Carrel said that in his book called Man the Unknown. Alexis Carrel was a surgeon who got the Nobel Prize for teaching surgeons how to stitch vessels. He got the Nobel Prize. It's a good book. Read that for the good part of it. And he says, the important thing is schools spoil us. And if you have not gone to school, you are a brilliant fellow. You are a scientist. You see a child is the best scientist. Have you seen that? You give the child a toy, it will observe it for 4 days. Observation. One of the very important criteria of good science. Keeps it on the table in the right place. Then licks it for a few days to see if it has a taste. Uses all the 5 senses. Then smells it. Then breaks it. That's a good child. That's a scientist. Wants to see what is inside. And that is science. Today science's etymological root is not CA, which means knowledge, but ski, cut into. And when you cut into, you know what inside is. So, you don't have to have a checkup for seeing whether you're healthy or not. You can check yourself up every morning. Only 2 questions you ask. Do I want to go to work today? Do I want to help somebody today? Do you know why you should help somebody? Because the scriptures have written that. Zukat, Islam says Zukat, help somebody. Jesus says, it's not for thee alone, pass it on. Pass it on. Charity is the essence of Christianity. And the Ishopanishad says, Tena, Tektena, Gunjita, rejoice in giving. That's not the reason. I'll give you a scientific reason. Evolutionary biology tells us that this world was run by germs for 2 billion years. Only germs. They remained here. They ran the world. And they were also like us, competing with another, doing business and who gets more profit, which hospital makes better profit, etc., etc. And they killed all of them. At the end they realized, if we go on competing like this, we will all be extinct. So they mutated. And what did they do? They created food for everybody, including you and me. What is that food? Chlorophyll. No scientist did that. Germs did it. They combined carbon dioxide from the atmosphere which they breathed out. They combined water vapor and sun's rays and got chlorophyll, the root of all food that you and I eat. Somebody may say, oh, what is this fellow talking about? I never eat chlorophyll. I eat only the chicken in the morning and the fish in the afternoon and maybe goat in the evening. But even the chicken, goat and the fish depend on chlorophyll only for survival. Then what? They found something else happening, which is happening today also. They produce a lot of oxygen by consuming this carbon dioxide. So they were poisoned by oxygen and they started dying with oxygen. You ask Dr. Grant, when we were young, anybody who gets a heart attack immediately gets oxygen. In the cinema also you see a heart attack means oxygen. We have killed millions by giving oxygen and heart attack. Today nobody gives oxygen unless you really have real hypoxemia. Oxygen is not good because oxygen provokes another heart attack or prevents remodeling. So you are hypoxia at that time. And that's why these germs learned a very big lesson that they should not survive in too much oxygen. Then they said, we must do something for others to survive. You know what they did? They donated a DNA and made the first nucleated cell. 2 billion years later. And that nucleated cell is you and me. That's called the zygote. That you were on the first day in your mother's womb. From there you have become now 70 kilograms, 60 kilograms. That day you know how heavy you are? 0.1201 gram. That speck of protein that day knew about all this universe, posteriori and priori. That is called universal consciousness. A cell biologist who was studying this got so enamored. He was an atheist, he didn't believe in God. Then suddenly he saw the cell coming to life. He said, my God. He didn't get out of the room for 3 days. He didn't eat, he didn't piss, he didn't shit. It's looking at the cell growing. His name is Bruce Lipton. He wrote a book for you. Please read it. It's called Biology of Belief. Biology of Belief. Bruce, B-R-U-C. Lipton is T, Lipton, L-I-P-T-O. Fascinating book. Now what does it show? That we are here because of someone else's kindness. So what's your job? Be kind to others. That is why Paropakarartham idam sharir. An organization can work only when each one of us helps another person. If anybody in Bajaj Auto says, I run the Bajaj Auto, I am the CEO, I am the AFO, BBABCDO. Organization is sick, I starts illness. When everybody in Bajaj Auto from Rahul Bajaj ji to the peon say, we run the Bajaj Auto, we starts wellness. Bajaj Auto will be robust, good health. Did you understand that? Forget the word I. I is a very bad word. I is a very bad word. Ego, pride, and that's where, no. We means we are all connected because we have come from the same consciousness. We are all fluid. You all look very solid, right? You look 75 kilos and very solid. There's nothing solid about you. You are all fluid. And the same leptococcus in you and me are relatives, very close relatives. My body cells, I have 120 about. Are they cousins of Ravi's body cells. How can I hate Ravi? The minute I hate Ravi and try to harm him, my cells get confused. Hey, what is this ass doing? What has gone wrong? He is hating somebody I love. And then after you keep on doing that, which people do, carry hatred. Hatred is a very heavy burden to carry. The cells get confused and start hating your own cells. That is called autoimmune disease. Your cells hating your own cells and killing your own cells. Now, why so many systems of medicine? Why have this caste system? We can put it together as a healing system. Modern medicine has something very interesting. Somebody gets a heart attack. If I get a heart attack now, God forbid, I have to go to Dr. Grant. Then whatever Dr. Grant does, I have to accept because a patient's philosophy is listen to your doctor, right? So for an emergency quick fix, we need modern medicine, Western modern medicine. But what is the population? 2% of the sick population is emergency. So classify diseases on emergency basis, 2%. The minor illness syndrome basis, 50%. What are minor illness syndrome? See, coughing. 4 things: sore throat, common cold, feverish cold, flu-like illness. You know how many people suffer from that? Yesterday I was keeping account because 4 or 6 hours I was in the airport. And in the lounge, anybody who comes there, and that's what. 55 million people don't go to work in Europe on a given day because of minor illness syndromes. How much? 55 million. Huge load. And what do we do today? Every one of those people coughing in the airport, they would have taken antibiotic. If you take an antibiotic when you have a common cold or a viral disease, it changes your immune system, the cytokine response from Th1 to Th2. Which means after taking antibiotics for a common cold for a number of years, like our children do, you become an asthmatic. So we are manufacturing asthma. You probably have not seen that. A study in Bombay showed that the children in 5-star big hotels, the apartments, keeping people apart. They don't know who their neighbor is. Even if a neighbor dies, only when the smell comes after a week, you know that the neighbor is dead. And these apartments, vis-a-vis children on the street, those children have called, the thing is coming out here, pus is coming out, and the child is going around playing the same thing. 10 times more asthma in the high-rise buildings compared to those children. 10 times more asthma. Okay, asthma is alright, you can say treat. You get Th2 will produce vasospasm. So you get a heart attack, much more heart attack. Common cold and antibiotic is one of the causes of heart attack, but we don't think about it. Very interesting. But we do that. Instead of that, you say minor illness syndrome. What is the treatment? Best treatment is homeopathy. There are 3 studies on 2 drugs in homeopathy. Aram triphylatum and Sambucus nigrate. Fantastic results. 2 days you are all right. But the latest research from Colindale, where it's a cold research center, common cold research center, started in 1948, closed in 1998 after 50 years, saying that we have not made any progress in common cold research. Spent 500 million pounds, and we are converting this into AIDS research center. And the last paper said, if any one of you get cold next winter, go to an Indian restaurant and eat Indian curries. Because the research showed ginger, garlic and pepper in combination are the most powerful antiviral drugs man has ever known. Who does the study? In Harvard. My granny did that study. When I was a child, I used to get pepper. You go, that's what we drank. I'll tell you something very interesting. How modernity comes. Our people think modern medicine must come from America. No. Modernity in English simply means you improve your antiquity to modernity. Indian modernity. Garlic. There are 45 studies. We said garlic is useless. What did they do? Garlic pearls. What is garlic pearl? Garlic without SH group. Because nobody likes that smell. Especially girls don't like that. Without SH group, it's not garlic. And garlic to be garlic and to be medicine must be eaten raw in the mouth. When you mix it, the garlic gets mixed with the trypsin in your saliva. And the alanine in garlic becomes allicin, which is a medicine. A very powerful medicine. Much more powerful than your aspirin, tucramycin, your ticlopidine and what have you. There's a very famous cardiac surgeon in New Zealand called Sir Brian Barrett Boyce. He had a large chunk of Asian patients in those days. He used to tell me, Professor Hegde, I don't give the blood thinners for my patients after valve replacement because they eat so much of garlic and onion, their blood is always thin. He was right. And mind you, those days, I'm talking of the 60s, we used to have cloth covered valves. If you don't give your warfarin, etc., the patient will die. But he never gave warfarin to Indian patients. The CAD audit now showed that if you lower your A1C level, the just hemoglobin level, less than 6, you die very fast. Between 7 to 8, you live long. Beyond 8 also you may die a little early. So you must have higher sugar than what the doctor wants you to have. You are safer. And Dr. Grant will tell you after a heart attack, if you lower your sugar terribly, you will probably die faster. The heart likes little sugar, it enjoys the sugar. But sugar as such is bad in the long run. But in the short run, hypoglycemia kills more people than hyperglycemia. Similarly, 17 studies on high blood pressure treatment over the years showed that those who took tightly drugs, they met their maker a little faster than others. Now there is a long study, 25-year study called the MRFIT study, Multiple Risk Factor Intervention Trial. Tightly controlled every so-called risk factor. The other side, they just said, do what you like. And after 25 years, they found what you like fellows are still alive. And these fellows were all in heaven. To see what happens to reassurance. We want so many systems, no? A very large study was mounted in Oxford, Cambridge, Hamburg and Munich. Severe cancer pain, severe pain. They ran a drip of morphia, the most powerful painkiller. But while running, they said, this is not morphia. This is a new medicine we have found for cancer. It will not relieve your pain, but it will relieve your disease. Nobody's pain went. To be precise, 88% pain didn't go. Then they took the same patient, what's called the crossover study, ran a saline drip, salt water drip, and told the patient, this is the latest salt of morphia. Your pain will simply vanish. And pain vanished. They were shocked. Morphia in the vein, pain not gone. Salt water in the vein, pain gone. Then they repeated the study with fMRI, concurrent fMRI. See what's happening. When the patient believed that this is morphia, because he believed his doctor, believed, faith. The forebrain produces such powerful opioids, more powerful than morphine, pain disappear. When the patient didn't believe or believed the doctor that it's not morphine, the forebrain slept and nothing happened. So treatment is not effective, but the faith is effective. Did you understand that? So what does it matter what system you have? Homeopathy, allopathy, dhumopathy, whatever it is. Simply sympathy, empathy, faith, which is called placebo in Latin. So make it a little more dignified. You don't believe this, right? Young lady, write down the placebo effect. And you will know, what is this happening in the world? Where am I? You know, this is very interesting. So friends, what was the message that I want to send home? Your health is in your hands. Preserve it as long as you can. Did you understand?
First go to homeopath, then come to me.
Why I am saying this is the reality. This is the reality. That's why I have a suggestion for Raju. All industries give their workers and others money to go for a checkup. Checkup is the most dangerous thing that you can do. British Medical Journal has editorial. Regular checkup is the most dangerous activity that a mankind can ever do. Because you get an incidentaloma by checking up, and it's called a cancer, and you are given all cancer drugs, and you meet your maker faster. In a way, it is better. Did you understand that? No, I'll tell you why. We don't have a definition of normal in statistical medicine. What we have is an average. Average is not normal, but we equate average with normal, which means we are taking the healthy population and applying disease statistics. I'll tell you a very simple story. What is the normal height of an Indian male? We take 1000 males and the Gaussian curve, mean plus 2 standard deviation comes to 5.4. And then what we have done now, in society there are people who are 4.6, there are people who are 6.2, and there are 7.2, fellows like Kenneth Galbraith. Now all these are normal, mind you. They are all covered in this Gaussian curve. But when we cut it into mean plus 2 standard deviation, 90% are out. Now you send for a checkup. Amitabh Bachchan comes for a checkup. Or why Raju goes for a checkup. Raju goes for a checkup, or his father goes for a checkup. 6.2, ill. What's the treatment? Cut his leg, make him 5.4. Okay? Or Jaya Bachchan goes for a checkup. 4.6. What's the treatment? Transplant her leg and make her 6.1. Can you believe that? This is exactly what we are doing. It's called false positives. False positives. That means every parameter that you check in the hospital, 25% of you will be false positive for one parameter. Today you go to a big hospital, they have got a total body scanner. 500 parameters are checked immediately. It runs. And then you come with also, my B12 is high, doctor. My vitamin D is low, doctor. My bone density is this, doctor. My calcium is that, doctor. But because one point this side, that side, you are told it's abnormal. And then, one patient came to me, a rich man, but not, English educated rich man. His ECG came out of the machine. These days, ask Dr. Grant. His machine itself writes a diagnosis. So the machine wrote borderline ECG. This man knew little English. So he said, doctor, my border of the heart is not all right. He saw 4 big hospitals for border, whether to check his border. Can you believe that? So you become a neurotic after that. You become a patient. Either become a patient or a permanent neurotic. A cardiac neurotic is worse than a cardiac patient. You can treat a cardiac patient but can't treat a cardiac neurotic. I can wake up a man who is sleeping, but if you say I am sleeping, I don't want to wake up, can I wake you up? No, this is the problem. Our biggest problem now in medicine is anxiety neurosis. I tell you, how many people have anxiety neurosis? And we are very important doctors. We think the mind is in the brain, so we treat with the chemical drugs mental diseases. My brain is not in the mind. And what does the drug do? It damages the brain. So we get a zombie at the end of the day who is called Alzheimer's disease, another new disease. See? Isn't that good? And the professor of psychiatry in New York University, she wrote this book called Dementia, a drug-induced crime on mankind. Her name is Grace Elizabeth Jackson. Lost her job. Deported from America. But that book is getting her millions of dollars and she is very happy. She lives in Chile and goes around the world lecturing. How many of you are taking a sleeping pill? Your sleep is not in the brain, but the pill damages your brain. How many of you are taking a waking pill? Why do you not take a waking pill? Or at least you take a couple of pegs to sleep and another strong cup of Kumbakonam coffee to wake up. Kumbakonam coffee is very big. 650 milligrams of caffeine in that coffee. So you wake up in the morning. But look at those people sleeping on the roadside. What a beautiful sleep. Yesterday, I slept at 1:30 in the morning and I couldn't get sleep because I'm not used to sleeping there. I was struggling to sleep and said, if I don't sleep now tomorrow morning, what will I do? Raju's place, what do I lecture now? Then suddenly I thought, think of those think of those people sleeping on the roadside. So happy, and then I slept. Because you must always think of people who are worse than you. You should not think of people, look at him, he's sleeping 8 hours. I will never sleep. So compare yourself with somebody who is below you and see how they live. I always tell people, a lot of people are worried. They are jealous of others. I have a simple formula for you to be happy. Don't be jealous of anybody. Supposing I see a big, let's say, Rolls Royce car parked on the road. I'm so jealous. I look this side, that side, nobody sees. I take a stone and scratch. Jealousy is killing me. Scratching that will further kill me. On the contrary, I can wait for the owner to come. Let's say Dr. Grant comes and I say, Dr. Grant, what a beautiful car you have got here. The like of which I have never seen in my life. Dr. Grant's ego gets boosted. He says, do you want to ride in this car? I would love it. So he'll take you for a ride. You go around. And then while going, you simply boost him up. What a beautiful thing. It must be heavenly to drive this car. Would you like to try? So you get to drive the car, you get a ride in the car, maybe even a cup of coffee in Ruby Clinic. So all this is for what? For not hating Dr. Grant, for loving him. So don't you think love is a very good medicine? So what is the secret of longevity? Universal compassion. What's the secret of good health? Helping others. Because the germs help you to be here and you help others to live here. So it's very simple, isn't it? So I don't want to talk anything further. I have not given you any medicines or any pills. I've given you the strongest pill. Have a clear mind. Where is the mind? Where is the mind? Never mind. What is matter? No matter. Science is not the true thing in life. Reality is the truth. The reality is far removed from science. Science is an establishment. I always tell people, do you know how to be healthy and happy? If I am a monkey and I know I am a monkey, I accept I am a monkey, I am absolutely happy, no stress at all. Supposing I am a monkey, I know I am a monkey, but I behave like a tiger in society. I am just every second because where is my monkeyness seen outside? Did you understand that? That is why now I will come back to motorcycle. Motorcycle has 2 wheels, no? The world can run on 2 wheels. What are the wheels? Satyam, Brihadritam Ugram, Vishwam Dharayan. World runs on 2 wheels. Satyam, truth. Ritam, ethics. Brihadritam, high ethics. Ugram, applied sternly. So, Raju, you are a good boy. Continue to be a better boy. And the best boy you will be. And your industry will prosper so well if it is ethical. Industry must be ethical. Otherwise, it's a curse on mankind. Industry can be a curse, but ethical industry is a big blessing. So may Bajaj Industries, Bajaj Auto become, into various things, be one of the best industries in India, and may shine till the sun and the moon set, and let all of you love one another. And life running on love is something which is so fascinating. And charity is doing a lot of charity. charity is a very important part because you have acquired wealth from society. You owe it to society, the wealth you back. And all the Westerners, the other day, the chief of that, what is that, whatever, he gave $900 million for charity. Alfred Nobel was the biggest man who made money by dynamite. One day his factory went up fire. But Alfred had gone to the bank 5 minutes before that. So the whole world, they thought Alfred is also dead. So the local papers wrote an editorial the next day. The man who made his millions by killing others is also consumed in the same fire. Very good lesson for you. And who was reading the paper? Alfred himself. So he went to his lawyer. His wealth was 550 million Swiss francs. Gave everything to form the Nobel Foundation. So charity is good. Love is good.